2. How's it going, everybody? John and Turner here on Turner's YouTube channel, here to talk today about the new Rise of Skywalker movie. So tonight we're going to be discussing what we're thinking, what will happen with the Rise of Skywalker and what came up with to this point, going through some theories and discussion about what we have seen so far.
So this is also a warning for potential spoilers.
Right.
Because I'm no scientist, but I will say that I got Endgame 86% right.
You actually did. We actually did a little thing where he showed me his thoughts and ideas
after the movie
and
said, you could see where I wrote it at 5:50 when the movie started at 6 o'clock.
Right. He wrote all of his ideas out, finalizing his thoughts on Endgame before Endgame even started with us, and he got most of those predictions correct. It was very good call.
One of my proudest moments.
Right. So if you haven't heard the previous video, we actually did a video before this talking about Star Wars in general and about the movies that have come out so far. So please go there and check that out if you would. And it would actually be a good catalyst to listen to that before this one if you haven't yet. So we're going to go ahead and start in with The Rise of Skywalker, our predictions, thoughts, and hopes.
Alrighty. So you want me to start with my first theory?
So let's go ahead and start off with your first theory.
My first theory. Okay. So my first theory is that, so J.J. Abrams said that this movie will go and it will, he said that it wraps all 9 films up in a really well done manner.
Right.
Well, as we know, in the second installment in the prequels, there was clones. So what I'm thinking is that Rey is a potential clone. And how do we already have evidence for this? You wonder. So, I don't know what that was. There's the cave scene in The Last Jedi where she goes down there and she goes and she sees reflections of herself and she's doing this whole snappy thingy, and there's a whole bunch of her, almost as if she was a clone. And so, I think that this theory is plausible. I honestly, at the same time of thinking this theory is plausible, I think it's not true. I don't want it to be true because, there's hundreds of people out there on YouTube already making this theory, and I don't want a movie to be predictable. No. Even though I predicted Endgame, but I still loved it anyway. So
let's compare that because you did predict Endgame, but Endgame was very
well thought out.
Very thought out. It was very
thought out in the very beginning years.
Cerebral.
So yes, it was 10 years in the making.
10 years, and we all knew.
Yes,
this was 10 years in the making.
10 years.
We were going to see a big movie, and Star Wars. We never. Between the years 2005 to 2013 or 11, because that's when Star Wars was bought up by Disney.
Yeah,
we had no clue. We thought they won't make Star Wars for a long time in the movie theater.
They jumped the gun, and here we are in 2019.
No, I think they did at the best time.
Oh, well, they did. They definitely did.
They did at the absolute best time because
especially with Carrie.
Right. Oh yeah. They really They got just in time for all the returning actors to return. Mm-hmm. We are going to see Lando.
Yes.
We are going to see what we have left of Leia.
Yes.
And we definitely hear Luke Skywalker in the trailers. Assume that's a Force Ghost.
Yes.
That's a Force Ghost. And to be honest, that's okay with me because we got 2 movies of Force Ghost Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. Who didn't play a big part of that whole movie, but he was an important part in guiding Luke.
Yes.
We're going to see Luke guide Rey.
Yeah.
Because if you saw the end of The Last Jedi, she took some very sacred texts.
Yes. Yeah.
Page turners, they were not.
One of my yes. One of my favorite lines in that is Yoda goes and says something along the lines of, "There was nothing in that Jedi temple that she does not already possess." And he's definitely just talking about the books. And you see that, then you're like, ah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be interesting for her to like study the sacred Jedi texts, or she maybe have already done it between movies. Who knows? We don't know. The movie's not out yet. Ha! Yes, this is why we're here.
Right.
But
so let's go predict that. How far between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker will it be? Will it be months?
Well, judging upon Finn's hair, I'm gonna say it's at least a year or two.
A year or two.
The way that the trailer is lined up is, at the last time we saw them, there was honestly, the whole Rebel fleet that we know of was on the Millennium Falcon. That's not a lot of people.
No,
that is not a lot of people. They were. That was just not a lot of people. I don't know how to.
Right.
I don't know how to just,
and the Millennium Falcon was pretty packed, probably, but not a big ship.
Not a lot of people, and they said that they lost all their X-wings, all that stuff, and when they were on Crate, one of the most beautiful battle sequences in that movie. They go and they're like, this is our last shot. We've got to give it all we got, and there was, it was the hero's run and stuff like that in that movie. And they're like, there was so many people that were trying to be the hero there. And now we actually get to see these people hopefully be the hero. Together, yes.
For reals. Like, this is a collection of people together fighting.
There's even a trailer where Rey's like, I've got to do this on my own, and then it's Poe and Finn behind him, and they say, no, we're doing this together. And you're like, oh, because all the rest of the movies, if you think about it, technically they've been all split up.
Right.
Because Poe's been in the X-Wing, Rey and Finn, they've been a little split up in the first one. Then the second one, whoa, all split up.
Yes.
Talking 3 different storylines going on at the same time. And now for this one, I'm excited to see them all come together finally, because for one, I love the character of Poe. We don't get enough of him, in my honest opinion. I feel like I want more. I mean, him in Resistance, the Resistance TV show, it's good. Mm. It's good when he's on. Yeah. Only when he's on.
Right. Right.
But to go back to my that one theory about Rey being a clone. That dark Rey that we saw with the 2 lightsabers that flip and turn into like a Maul lightsaber, which I'll get more into that in just a second. That's an actual clone, and so Rey will have to fight herself.
That will be a call. That's a strong call there.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a theory, a film theory, but and cut. No,
right.
But
so what about this idea? Do you not think the notion that that's a Force scene where she is seeing an alternate, we see in Empire?
I want to believe that. There was even a thing after that trailer leaked out that someone accidentally said that that's a Force ghost scene, kind of the Luke and the Cave of Wonders, yeah. I suppose you could say, right. Like an Aladdin reference, but people, they might be curveballing us. Disney's done it before. Don't act like they haven't.
And it's also J.J. Abrams. To preface with J.J. Abrams, he helped direct the Star Trek movies.
Oh, yes.
Recently.
I thought he directed himself.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And I think he probably wrote some of that. So that was his warm-up.
Yeah. Oh.
That was his warm-up.
He's done all the Star movies now.
Yes, he is. He has. Definitely.
Now on to National Geographic's The Stars. Directed by J.J. Abrams. Watch that lens flare.
So you think...
I think that Palpatine cloned her from someone and is maybe reincarnating in her.
Ooh.
Because she's strong with the Force.
She is strong with the Force somehow.
She didn't know it, but she is.
Yeah.
Whoopity-whoop.
Yeah. That's a very interesting take, because like she just got given a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I mean, she found it.
Well, J.J. Abrams, everybody's like, how was she able to use that lightsaber so well in the Force against someone who's actually trained? Technically, her bow staff is basically just a lightsaber.
Oh no, she carries that for a reason. That bow
Yes.
staff is her identity for the most part.
Oh, I just got another theory.
Right?
It's different. It's about the toys, actually.
Oh.
Because I just recently went and bought the Black Series Rey.
Figure?
The figure, yeah. And it came with Dio. Anyway, something that was interesting about her staff, rather than the other times that her staff has been released, is you can take apart the parts that have the straps on them, and it has just this pull. So maybe, just maybe, we might be inching towards a lightsaber that's like that, because you can put a little lightsaber inside that thing. It's pure speculation, of course.
Fine. This is the speculation. Or the speculation issue.
So I could totally be wrong, and if I am, thank you, internet, for proving me wrong. I love you guys.
Well, Star Wars will prove you wrong, but
Well, yeah, but the internet yelling like,
no, it's a good point to point out. She uses a staff, right?
Yeah.
Her evil side, whatever that might be, that Rey uses a double-bladed saber.
Yes.
A very utilitarian use of her style. It's a very nice little nugget. It's like, well, now I'm very intrigued. And they know what they're doing when they release trailers.
Yes.
They know what they put out. You might be watching stuff that might not happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that happens so often.
In Marvel,
Especially in Marvel.
It's like they do that to a T.
Yeah.
So you touched on something that we have to discuss, because this is also a big part of the movie.
Yes.
Emperor Palpatine.
Which,
if you watch the original trilogy, you only see him sparingly in episode 5. That is it. Like, you see him...
Episode 5.
Episode 5, you see him as a hologram projection for Vader.
Yes.
Episode 6 is when you see the full character.
Yes.
And exactly what and who he is.
Mm-hmm. And
now we're seeing that again in episode 9.
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Okay.
This is exactly what this whole thing has been about. People have been speculating that Plagueis, Darth Plagueis is Snoke. And J.J. Abrams heard this. He's like, no. Snoke is just his own thing.
Right.
And then Rian Johnson goes and, kills him. So like, oh, well, there goes a character that we were hoping to see, more of. But,
well, you never know. So
he could come back.
We're seeing the Emperor come back. Do you think Snoke has a play in that?
I've never thought about that.
Oh, have you now? You haven't, have you?
I've never considered that.
Listen, J.J. Abrams has been for the writing process of these movies.
Oh, he knows
from the get-go. He knew what the beginning and end was. He just wanted to start the engine.
Yes.
So now he's come back to finish the realization of it all. That's fine. But I think that we're going to see a lot of all the movies, like you said earlier.
Yes.
All the movies will come into this one movie. And this is the epilogue of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, the story leads up whenever George Lucas was doing the prequels, he was very much like pro Darth Vader. Yes. He was like, Anakin Skywalker's the real hero of all of this.
Oh, yes.
No, Luke Skywalker is the hero.
Oh, of course.
Luke Skywalker is the real hero. I mean, I know that you push Darth Vader because of toys and merchandise.
Yes.
Whatever. Luke Skywalker. And this is his epilogue. This is him going to give the goodbyes. This is going to be him doing the send-off for this generation of Star Wars.
Yes. No, I wholeheartedly agree.
So, Emperor Palpatine.
Emperor Palpatine. We see him floating in a chair At least that's what we think. But they just recently, across the sea, I watched this yesterday, they released a teaser trailer with him at the very end, and you like actually see him. I don't know what to think of it.
Are they misleading us?
Who knows, man? I mean, it actually, believe it or not, it was in that one Sith chair that was based off of some Ralph McQuarrie art, and that was seen in the that trailer that they did at D23, I think, was where they
the big spiky chair.
Yes, the big spiky chair. That's exactly what we're gonna call that. Big spiky chair.
Big spiky chair.
Hashtag big spiky chair.
We do see Return of the Jedi's throne room.
Yes, and woohoo!
Boy, howdy. I mean, it's destroyed, and you guys assume that's on Endor, so
yeah, and
might be going back to a little bit to Endor.
We also, I got something for you about that.
Okay.
There was a image that was released by J.J. Abrams or somewhere along those lines where it is, what's the guy that's in every Star Wars film? It's the little,
Anthony Daniels?
No.
Davis. It's
Warwick Davis. He was wearing a Ewok thing and looking up at the head of Wicket. So I think that Wicket will be back in the movie. That's another theory of mine.
So Ewoks live a while.
I think, yeah. I mean, there was that whole Ewok movie. Did you ever see those movies?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to watch them again, but I know they're terrible.
It's so bad, but it is what
so
it
is the holiday special, but everybody loves that now.
Everyone loves to crap on it. It is truly bad.
It's
There's one thing in Star Wars that I will absolutely be like, that is just bad.
Jon Favreau wants to bring it back.
He's crazy.
The only good thing that we had that was from that was the cartoon.
Yes.
Because it introduced
Boba Fett,
and it introduced the Mandalorian's gun.
Yeah, that's the gun he uses.
He uses it, and they actually, fun fact, for Disney World and Disneyland goers, they have, in Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, right above Doc Ondar, they have the Mandalorian helmet and his gun right next to it. So really excited to see that. Going to be going to Disney. Going to be going to Disney there pretty soon. In fact, I leave in like 2 days. So woohoo!
Boy, howdy. And we will. So as of recording, this is a week and a day before we get to see the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, and so do you want to go on to another theory?
So let's dive in a little bit more of the theories, because there's going to be concepts that we think about with these theories. Then it's like, okay, so what is this story? And then we'll finish up with the story of what the story will be. So let's do another theory to see what happens.
Theory number 2. This is crazy. Very crazy. I don't believe it at all. But there's these people on YouTube called New Rock Stars. It's one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch when it comes to Star Wars breakdowns of Marvel movies, breakdowns of really anything geeky. They are there for it, and they are breaking down every little thing. They had a whole podcast. I was listening to this the other night. They had a whole podcast about Darth Maul returning and in this movie. And they said, it's something to note that Darth Maul was the first ever Sith in 1,000 years to kill a Jedi when he killed Qui-Gon Jinn. Or Obi-Wan was the first person to kill a Sith in the first 1,000 years. Something along those lines. It's something to do with Sith, something 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. And people are saying, well, if you look, Rey is holding that double-bladed lightsaber. That's definitely a Maul callback. Has to be,
Yes.
And then they also said, remember, his skin was red and black. Well, this new Kylo Ren helmet that he's rebuilding, it's red with the stripes, and it's black.
Right.
So people are thinking, oh, Darth Maul, he's going to take over Kylo Ren's body. I don't know if I believe that or not.
No.
But I was thinking of, like, if he was to be reincarnated, maybe that's why they had him in Solo. Because And at the end of Solo, you know, everything's on screen for a reason. It doesn't have to be for that movie why it's on there.
No, they have a plan for them all.
Definitely. Yeah. And if it's not in a Solo sequel or, you know, an the Kenobi series that we're coming for Disney Plus, woohoo!
Yep.
You know, if it's not for that, it could potentially be for this.
The only issue is,
I mean, I don't believe it. It's just something that's crazy. It's something that we should at least put in our minds because, you know, like J.J. Abrams said, he wants to wrap up the whole nine things. And the first movie of the 9 is where Darth Maul falls. But maybe this is the rise of Darth Maul.
No, it's not.
Just kidding. That would never happen. But,
that never happened.
You know, it's a good theory to think about.
It's interesting. The only issue is with Rebels. They kill him. In Rebels, they have that scene where they kill him.
And there's actually a YouTuber that said that was the best scene. That was the best fight scene in all of Star Wars history because it wasn't actually just fighting. It was back and back combat with words.
Right.
Where he was like, "There's I'm here on Tatooine." He's like, "Why are you on Tatooine?" "Oh, there's someone here, a New Hope or something." And then he's like. And then Obi-Wan was like, whoa, he's kind of on to me. He's like, it is. You're protecting someone. Right. Who is this? And then he's like, I've got to kill you. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We could have talked about that before, but the Obi-Wan and Luke thing. But that's another time, another place. So
do you, what's a theory for you? I've been naming off my theories.
My theory is time travel. Time travel? It's straight up time travel.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me all about it, Mr. Doc Brown.
So the one thing Star Wars doesn't touch on. Star Wars does not touch on the idea of going back in time.
Actually, they do in Rebels.
Exactly.
So, oh man.
Exactly.
Wow. It's funny. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I wonder what would happen if someone in Star Wars could time travel. Oh.
And so one of the things that I go on is that the Force is a very precarious thing in Star Wars. You think, you can move stuff with your mind like telekinesis, or you can trick people with their mind. You think it's a very mind-oriented thing.
Yes.
But it's more than that. There's the Force healing aspect. There's the Force lightning aspect. There's the speed that they show. Your dexterity changes because you see like the Force jumps and all that stuff. So you see feats of strength and all that. Kylo Ren shows a moment of time stopping.
Yes.
In The Force Awakens, the first time you see him, Poe tries to shoot him.
He stops it right in the middle of the thing.
He just halts the bolt in midair and lets it sit there. And he's not pushing back or changing the bolt. He's stopping it in its tracks. Could that just be him holding it there? Possibly.
Yeah.
But could that also be a change in time? Which leads me to also the video game that came out recently, Jedi Fallen Order.
Does that have to do with time travel? I haven't played it.
It's not time travel, but Cal Kestis, the character, has a Force sensitivity to time in the sense he can touch things and sense it's past.
Ooh.
The same thing that Rey does in The Force Awakens, where she touches the lightsaber and feels the Force history. You see where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
So something's going to happen with a main character where they are either sent back in time or get shown a previous time.
No, yeah.
But I think something happens where they adjust the timeline entirely to help either get them back to current speed or to alter the future.
Yeah.
Is this how we see a living, breathing Luke Skywalker?
Oh my God! I never. You phrased that so good that you got me chill bumps. I'm just wanting to let you know.
This may not happen at all. This may not.
It may not happen at all.
Listen, this might be just me going crazy.
But I want to piggyback that with another theory that I have. I believe that Hayden Christensen will be in this movie.
Does he talk to Kylo?
I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be in this movie. It could be this time travel theory that you've got going on for you. Could be, very well could be. But let's put it this way. Hayden Christensen has, he's a big guy in Star Wars ever since the original, his two movies, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And eventually turns into Darth Vader. He is very well versed when it comes to Star Wars and stuff. And as of recently, there has been rumors of him on set, but there's also been where they're like, oh yeah, hey, come to this. He says, come to this convention. And for some unmysterious reason, for this very mysterious reason, he at the last minute says, I can't go. I think Disney is saying, don't you dare. If you were going to let something slip, you were like the next Tom Holland coming up, all right? We cannot let you have this. This is going to be the biggest shock of everything in Star Wars if you keep your yap shut. So, what
a theory. What a little conspiracy theory. I love it. This is what excites me about this movie. We don't know what the story is.
We don't know nothing.
We just know. I mean, and
we don't know nothing.
You gotta think back, like you have sort of an idea once you see the end of Empire Strikes Back. It's like, so when do we see Luke fight Vader again? How is that going to happen? You have no clue how that works. And then you see at the end how it happens. It's like, oh, that's how it happens? That's a different thing than just them confronting. There's more story and depth to it. Yeah. So I think what we're going to see with Kylo and Rey is a very different fight. We see them fighting in different places. So you assume that this is going to be a very clash-heavy movie and that Rey has to learn how to overcome Kylo in the sense that she's not going to defeat him and just end him there. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to do something different, which allows them to do whatever it is with the Emperor.
You saying that, the way you just said that, it made me think back to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's the final battle, it's the Fire Lord versus Avatar, and at the very end, he goes and he takes the Fire Lord's firebending power.
Exactly, he just takes his power from him.
Do you think that it's possible and plausible that she could do that to Kylo, or to even spice it up a little bit more, Kylo could do it to her?
That's very valid and interesting points to put there. So cutting off someone from the Force. We saw Luke. He cut himself off from the Force voluntarily.
And Ahsoka Tano does that as well in Rebels.
Right. And Disney spearheaded that show.
Yes.
They're like, this is us specifically. And the great thing about Disney, they said anything you make in Star Wars, that's them making it now, they officially call it, like, that is what happens. It's canon. There are legends, and there's like old stories that they call legends. And I understand why, because it got, like, the extended universe of Star Wars of old was very spread out and very dynamic and weird. And there's different things that goes different places. But this is they're very containing of what happens. In Star Wars, they are very much, if it happens in a Star Wars thing that we've put out, that's Star Wars. That is the story. Mm-hmm. So that includes the video games. They've done this before with The Last Jedi. You see something in The Last Jedi in Luke's hut that you actually get from the Battlefront video game story mode. Mm-hmm. So that was official. There's a tie-in there. We'll see a Jedi Fallen Order tie-in to the new movie, potentially.
Potentially.
But there is a reason for things, for sure. So that, is there any other theories?
I have about 4 more.
Oh my gosh.
This one's really quick. I don't necessarily think that Skywalker is a person. I think the Rise of Skywalker is like the rise of a Jedi Order.
Exactly. I think that they transfer from Jedi to Skywalkers.
Yes. And then theory number 5, or to think, theory number 5, C-3PO will have his memory wiped. We've seen it in the trailer where his eyes are red and he's kind of hooked up to some machine or something, and there's this little baby thing that's on his shoulders. Name's Bobby Frick. It's literally a cute character. But, you know, we kind of see in the background that there's a battle droid from the original prequels. And, like, we're like, ooh. Because we'd never seen an original, like, we'd never seen a battle droid like that, you know, because it wasn't ever thought of, really. And the originals, because, you know, the way computers work.
Right.
But, you know, I think that he's going to have his memories wiped because, like, Poe is like, hey, what you doing, 3PO? And he's like, I'm taking one last look at my friends. And then people are like, oh, he's going to die. I don't think he's necessarily going to die. I think he's going to have his memory wiped and maybe a card or a chip will, like, insert, like, and he's going to have a little bit of a different personality. But he's going to be the same person. But, like, because we've seen posters where he's wearing Chewie's bandolier and he's holding Chewie's blaster.
That's an interesting take. We'll see about that one.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
They are hinting something with 3PO. And so we've had R2 have his big story in Force Awakens.
And I'm really excited because we finally get to see C-3PO really again. Like, they were glorified cameos in the last two ones.
Right.
And, you know, and so finally, I think we're going to be seeing him in a lot of places because, like, there's even a part in the trailer where he's got his arms and legs wrapped around a pole.
Right. He's a big plot point.
Yes.
To go back to what George Lucas did for all of the movies, he even said it in one of the previews for the old movies. He says it where he always thought when he was writing this and showing this movies that these movies are stories told by the eyes of the droids.
Yes.
That the droids are very much an integral part of Star Wars.
Another interesting thing about George Lucas is when, like, he was originally writing the first Star Wars, he's like, when people think of space fantasy, especially at this time, they were like, oh, everything's all neat and nice and clean. But what if there was a world that wasn't neat and nice and clean and had history behind it? That's what drew everybody in. They were like, oh wow, this place is grungy. Haha, grunge music. Hashtag 90s. Hashtag Captain Marvel. Hashtag I'm done with this. You know, so, but yeah. Oh, here is something that came out yesterday about Rey's parents.
Well, that's a hot topic.
Yes. So, I think Rian Johnson, I don't really agree that they were just junk traders. I think it's something to think about, sure. But J.J. Abrams, when he first said, "We need, you know, Rey, you need to find your parents. This is what your whole story is about." It kind of killed her story in some aspects, you know, because everybody's like, "Oh, you know, it's got to be Luke, it's got to be something." And J.J. Abrams went out and said, "Hey, her parents weren't in The Rise of Skywalker." Or not The Rise of Skywalker, The Force Awakens. Right. And, you know, and I heard in some original, like, script leaks, this is something to think about, that there was an Imperial Empire takeover on Jakku where it was Leia and Han and Kylo and Rey. But, you know, Kylo's name was Ben. Rey, I think just his name was Rey. I don't really know. This is when they were both really young and they were brother and sister. And they went and the Imperials were taking over and Leia got captured and Han sent Rey off to Jakku and just gave her to Unkar Plutt right quick, said, hey, guard her for me. I'm going to be back later. Mm-hmm. Never came back. Kylo then gets taken in by the Sith, a.k.a. Snoke. Mm-hmm. Snoke starts training him. This is an original plot leak, you know, right. And it said that Leia was supposed to have died during all that or something along that lines. Right. So that's something to think about. Maybe they're related. But what I'm trying to get to about basically confirming that we will find out who Rey's parents are is there's a TV spot that's got Josh Gad and Daisy Ridley. And Daisy Ridley's like, yo, come and watch Rise of Skywalker. And Josh Gad just walks in. He's like, hey, Ray, or Daisy, I was wondering, I have a few questions about the movie before it comes out. I know we're like really good buds. Like, and then I don't know how they did it, but they have so many celebrity cameos because they're all going through. Have you seen it yet?
No.
I will show you it.
Okay.
They're all opening doors like, hey, Daisy, who are Ray's parents? And like, it's Tom Holland's in it. They've got the girl from they've got Finn comes in.
Wow.
They got the two people from Mandalorian, Cara Dune and the Mandalorian himself, Pedro Pascal. He goes and they're like, hey, we're part of the family now. Tell us. And there's another one where it's Alan Tudyk and who's the one Spanish guy from Rogue One? He's in it, and anyway, so he's like, Alan Tudyk's like, hey, is there any way that you need a droid that's like not a ball? And so he's like, and he's like, no, just get out. And so, and there's all this stuff, and just they're all asking who's Ray's parents, and Finn's like, she says to Finn, John Boyega, he says, John, you know who Ray's parents are. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. And he walks because you've read the script, you've seen the movie. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. Walks out of the thing, and then it flashes Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker. All questions will be answered on December 20th.
Oh.
So that's what I think of that. Now, here's my last and final theory. I don't think this is going to happen.
Okay.
But it's something to think about. Baby Yoda.
Yep.
I don't think Baby Yoda is going to be in this movie.
Nope.
But I do believe that if the Palpatine was really doing something mischievous, he was taking, I don't know, maybe the midichlorians or something from Baby Yoda.
We don't mention that word anymore. He takes the
We
force.
don't serve your kind.
He
here.
serves the force aura of Baby Yoda, which, by the way, was born 50 years.
50 years, which is like right before Phantom Menace happens.
Yep.
So,
we'll talk about Mandalorian later.
yes.
But yes, Baby Yoda.
And I think that maybe Palpatine was taking the midichlorians and trying to clone them to put them into some other host, which would grow up to be someone named Rey.
Wow, that's a hot take. I don't think
think they'll honestly do that because by the time that the Mandalorian was shooting and by the time that Rise of Skywalker was shooting, their schedules didn't really line up when it comes to storytelling and stuff.
Right.
But it is definitely something that is like, oh, that would be an interesting take.
It is an interesting take.
You never know what's going to happen when it's Star Wars because it's Star Wars and you can't predict it.
No, there's no predicting Star Wars.
No predicting it besides the prequels. That was very predictable that.
But we knew
he would become Darth Vader. I predicted that.
Yeah, everyone predicted that. Listen, the first poster predicted that. The poster of a little Anakin as a 9-year-old with the shadow of Darth Vader behind him. Of course, they predicted it. Anyway,
I don't know. I think they were teasing it.
They might be a little tease, like, "Hey, this might be happening." Well, who knows? So then, at this point, because we have a little bit of time left, we have to go through and explain what the story then is of Rise of Skywalker. What is the movie? The Rise of, because we have theories and ideas of how to put, but how do you put this together? Because they're going to have, they're going to be, when you do a movie like Star Wars, and in certain movies, they have certain places they go to. There's like certain points there are. One point is usually always on a ship. They're doing something on a ship.
Yeah.
But you start off with a planet, Tatooine or Hoth. You'll end up into a place like the ship, Imperial Star Destroyer or something, or another place like in Force Awakens, they go to not Jakku, but then they go to the next planet where Maz Kanata is.
Oh, Takodana.
Yeah, Takodana. And then you end up on a place like the Starkiller Base.
Yes.
Actually, last thing, so the Starkiller Base is referenced in the Jedi Fallen Order game.
Is it really?
Yes, that's all I'm going to say, though.
What?
That's all I'm going to say about it. because you gotta play the game and see that story level.
I don't think I'm gonna buy the game.
So you get to go to Starkiller Base before it's the Starkiller Base.
So is that with the?
That's one of the main sources of Jedi crystals.
Okay, so is that one of the Force things?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you actually go in because whenever you train for Jedi, Yoda actually took them as kids, takes young Jedis to that place and takes them down to the caves to get your crystal.
So wait a minute.
Yes.
Is that the same planet that's in the Clone Wars? Because there's a whole storyline where it's called like the challenge or something, where the kid. That's what?
Yes. Yeah, and that's also Starkiller Base.
Oh.
That's not blown up and dead, so it doesn't matter.
Oh my God.
There's an important story with that because this is our preface, and this might tie in as well to the Rise of Skywalker. We've seen Jedha in Rogue One siphoned from Jedi power or the crystals. We've seen the Starkiller Base siphoned full of power from all the from the Jedi's crystals. We see it in the video game. Now we're going to see Rise of Skywalker. Leia, I think the lightsaber. This is the last series. The lightsaber that we see, the blue lightsaber, the classic blue lightsaber. I think that's CGI'd in, and that's not the real lightsaber. I think that lightsaber is gone.
So
that lightsaber is gone, and that's a different lightsaber we're going to see now. Like how Luke has a new green one in return, we're going to see a new one for Rey if she does this.
I don't know. When I got that figure, it came with that lightsaber. So I don't think that they would do that.
Oh, they would with the toys.
Well,
why do you think they didn't release anything Mandalorian with the baby related?
Because they wanted the shock to come out.
Exactly. So now, I'm gonna say this is all theory stuff, but the Rise of Skywalker is gonna be a beginning of Rey really training to fight. She's like, they're gonna build up the rebellion. They're gonna have some setback where they have some new Sith troopers come, and they're like, oh, how do we fight this now? And Rey's like, well, I really have to train. Mm-hmm. And the First Order, as we're going to see, the First Order is not the same anymore. There's a new Sith Order.
Ooh.
It's the new Sith Order fighting the rebels again.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
And they're going to find out midway it's the Emperor. And then this is when it gets dire, and they have to figure out the time travel stuff.
What do you think?
Getting stuff back to the present, maybe?
Yeah. What do you think about that dagger? There's been a dagger that's been in some of the trailers.
I don't know. There's so many pieces to this. It's hard to put the movie together.
It reminds me of the Goonies a little bit. Because there's a part where she's like holding it out towards the Death Star ocean type thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like lining it up with something. With the Death Star. Like, that was very Goonies-esque, and I'm very excited to experience the Goonies
in the theaters, under the guise of Star Wars. So I think we'll see her having to travel to pieces of the past, including where the Death Star pieces fell through, and because she's gonna have to find sources of the dark side, which is also when we see a figure of evil Rey. Dark Rey.
Yes.
And then she has to fight that to really become the Jedi Knight that she is destined to be under the guise of Luke. Because Luke would also know whenever you have the original trilogy, Yoda goes to a planet that is very swamp-like and very desolate.
Dagobah.
Dagobah is a very prominent place for dark force power.
Yes,
which is why he was there, because he can mask himself.
There was a 3-episode thing at the very end, back end of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where Yoda goes to Dagobah, and he finds out the secret of the wills and stuff like that, which was originally the working title for the original Star Wars. The Secret of the Wills, Star Wars, The Secret of the Wills, and Luke Starkiller, The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, something like that.
Right.
Protector of the Wills. I don't know, something along those lines.
There are the concepts, yes.
But I'm really excited to see this movie. What I'm sad about though is that they announced that they're, that like water planet and stuff that's got the Death Star on it. Mm-hmm. They said that they would be adding that to Star Tours effective December 20th. My last day is December 19th.
No.
Yeah, cue that French Vader. But
no. Anyway.
But yeah, but I will be seeing it December 19th at Disney, 9 o'clock. I've already got my tickets. I'm really excited because I'm also planning on getting the Skywalker lightsaber.
I'm getting the green. When I go, I'm getting the green one.
Gonna get the green one. Is that the Luke one?
The Luke one, Return of the Jedi. That's my favorite. I have a toy one in there.
Yeah, I'm wanting that. Honestly, I want Obi-Wan Kenobi's from Clone Wars.
Oh.
I love the design. It's a lot like Luke's design in that you're talking about right now.
Right.
But
it's a definite throwback. I mean, realistically, behind the scenes, they were reusing old stuff.
oh yeah.
But in terms of story, it's a base on Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan was his master.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
So
Yeah. So last question then. The movie ends with them coming through and rescuing everyone, saving the day or whatever. But does Kylo make it?
Ooh, man, John. You got all the saucy questions here, boy. I tell you what, a part of me feels like this might be. I just tapped the table. A part of me thinks that this might be a prequel. And
There's jump starting a new saga.
Maybe give it 30 years, like they did.
Star Wars doesn't have that long. Disney does not have that long at all. They will give you about 5 years.
Oh, I know they will. They'll say, "Oh, look at how much older Rey's gotten. She has gray hair now. Wow."
No, but so Kylo.
I really don't know. I just know I feel at the end of the movie there will be balance to the Force.
Finally, again.
Yes.
We thought there was balance in Return of the Jedi finally, but that was just Luke surviving everything.
80 years later.
Yeah. So this will be a final balance to this whole story of Star Wars. In retrospective, I mean, for both of us, this is a really... Now, the Marvel movies, we go back to that, but that was a 10-year build-up, and that was a big part of our lives, too.
And this is, this movie... What was this? This has been a 4-year build-up.
Right. This has been
technically, how many years?
42.
42-year build-up.
Well, yeah, 42. Because 77 comes out. This is 2019. 42 years that we've had something expand to this level and to this amount. More than the comics, I will say that. Because, I mean... You don't have comic book movies like that. I mean, besides Superman, you didn't have comic book movies at this level until we get the whole Iron Man saga, where it really builds on multiple things.
Yeah.
And we like those Marvel movies that way because we've always had it there constantly in various forms and in a lot of variety. Star Wars, like I said earlier, is very contained. It's a very episodic thing. We get it in a big chunk.
Yes.
And this is the culmination of many big chunks, and this is the last one. And for me, it's a big historical moment to see, for once and for all, this big ending of a crazy story that we all love, and we all love to watch and talk about and complain about online, and then write up whatever, play in video games or read the books, or play with the toys, or go to the freaking Star Wars land to enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, this is a cornerstone moment of my life, personally.
Yeah.
So, and I got married last year, so.
This is even bigger than that.
I'm not saying that.
This tops the cake.
I'm not, no. One of my cakes was a Star Wars cake. I got my own Star Wars cake, and it had the Millennium Falcon on it.
Oh, yeah. I get to go fly that.
You son of a gun.
Oh man,
I know.
excited.
I'm going spring. I'm gonna get to build my lightsaber and get the Luke Skywalker lightsaber. Oh, but that's gonna be, I think, it for that. We hope that at the end of the day, this is a really good movie.
Oh, it will be.
And it will be it'll be a Star Wars
It's
movie.
J.J. Abrams.
This is fine. We're in capable hands. It's going to be an interesting story. It's going to be interesting into Star Wars that we know right now. What happens in the future, who knows? But at least for now, we have this movie to top things off, and then we'll also have a couple of Disney Plus stuff and all that, whatever. But we'll talk about those later. Another time. We'll end the Mandalorian some other time, right?
Yeah. we'll discuss the Mandalorian.
Well, let's let the Mandalorian ends a week after Skywalker comes out, and then we can also talk about that. So next time you hear us, we'll be talking about the aftermath of Rise of Skywalker, the saga ending. We'll talk about what we thought about it, what happened, what we see next, maybe, and then after that, we'll talk about Mandalorian.
Woohoo!
All right, Turner, sign us off.
Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And well, there's no other better way to say this than may the Force be with you always.